What was supposed to be an ordinary day on The Price is Right turned into something no one could have predicted. A college student stepped up to play the Plinko game and dropped her first chip. It landed directly in the $10,000 slot. The crowd went wild. Then she dropped another chip again. $10,000. Her third chip landed in the same spot, 3 times in a row. But just as she was preparing to drop her fourth chip, the studio went completely dark. In a shocking turn, a producer ran up, caught the chip mid-air, and yelled, "The game is fixed." The audience was stunned. For 15 tense minutes, nobody spoke a word. That single moment almost destroyed The Price is Right and forced CBS to go into damage control, doing everything they could to keep it out of the spotlight. The origins of the show go back to 1956, when Bob Stewart, then working at WRCA-TV in New York City, was out for lunch. As he walked down 50th Street, he passed a sidewalk auction and was struck by how energetic and exciting it was. That gave him an idea. What if a game show centered around people trying to guess prices? He called his new concept The Auctioneer. Artie had a strong background in broadcasting, with experience at both WNEW and NBC. One day he met Monty Hall, who later became a legendary game show host. Hall introduced him to Goodson Todman Productions and asked if he had any show ideas. That conversation gave life to what would become The Price is Right. The first episode aired on NBC. On November 26, 1956, hosted by Bill Cullen. But things didn't go smoothly from the start. During filming, a stagehand missed a cue, and Cullen accidentally crashed into a wall. Despite the mishap, NBC had already agreed to air the show, a fairly common practice in the 50s. After seeing the problematic pilot, the network tried to cancel it and even offered to pay to get out of the deal. But Stewart and his partner, Bill Todman, stood firm. He believed in the show and insisted NBC follow through. Their persistence paid off. However, the game show world was about to face serious trouble. In 1958, contestant on the show, Dodo, found a notebook containing answers meant for another player, which sparked a nationwide scandal. Soon it became clear that many popular quiz shows were rigged. The most notorious case involved Charles Van Doren, who admitted he had been fed answers on 21. By 1960, nearly all big-money quiz shows were taken off the air. Congress got involved, holding hearings and introducing new laws to clean up the industry. Despite the chaos, The Price is Right endured. Its format, having contestants guess the retail price of everyday items without going over, was nearly impossible to rig. That simplicity and honesty won over viewers who felt disillusioned by the cheating scandals. With Bill Cullen as host and Don Pardo announcing, the show quickly gained popularity. In 1957, it launched a primetime version, becoming the first game show to air in color. While others were being canceled, The Price is Right gained trust and even larger audience. Even so, the original version couldn't stay on top forever. By 1963, ratings declined, and NBC decided to end the show. But ABC stepped in, reviving it. On September 9, 1963, the format was updated. Johnny Gilbert took over as announcer. Celebrity guests were added, playing for members of the studio audience. But the core idea remained: guess the price and avoid going over. Behind the scenes, the show had a powerful sponsor in Lever Brothers, now known as Unilever. They promoted products like Imperial Margarine, Whisk Detergent, and Handy Andy Cleaner through the show. One of their most successful marketing tools was the Dove Beauty Bar, which was given to contestants each week, win or lose. This simple gesture helped grow Dove into a household name. Years later, in 2022, the company reduced the size of the bar from 100 grams to 90, while keeping or even raising the price. Still, even smart advertising couldn't keep the original run going. The primetime version was canceled in 1964, and the daytime show ended a year later. On September 3, 1965, one strange issue was how good people had become at pricing. The home viewer showcase, where fans mailed in their guesses, once resulted in a 32-way tie. Sorting through all the entries became a logistical nightmare. Contest winners had to be selected by telegram and phone calls. It became too complicated to continue. After a 7-year break, the show returned in a bold new format on September 10th. For 1972, CBS brought it back under the name The New Price is Right, this time ditching the quiz elements completely. The format focused entirely on guessing the prices of consumer products. Contestants bid in whole dollars and couldn't go over the actual price. The new version began as a 30-minute show with just 3 pricing games. But it caught on quickly. By mid-1973, the word new was dropped. The show had finally found its true voice. It was simple, it was relatable, and it was fair. You didn't need to be a genius to win, you just had to know what things cost. And in the wake of the 1950s game show scandals, that sense of honesty resonated with viewers. Then came a cultural milestone. In 1972, announcer Johnny Olson introduced a catchphrase that would become legendary: "Come on down." That single line changed everything. The audience exploded with excitement. People screamed, jumped from their seats, hugged strangers, and ran toward the stage. Some contestants even practiced their reactions at home: cartwheels, dance moves, or dramatic fainting. Later, the show would replay memorable entrance clips, including contestants who were carried to the front or fell over from shock. It all started with those 3 iconic words. The next big shift happened on December 1st, 1975, though some sources say it began a few weeks earlier. CBS decided to expand The Price is Right to 1 hour. That change allowed for more pricing games up. 2-6 and introduced a brand new segment, the Showcase Showdown. That's when the big wheel made its debut. The wheel had 20 segments ranging from 5 cents to $1. Contestants spun the wheel and tried to get as close to $1 as possible without going over. Landing exactly on $1 earned a cash bonus $1,000 in the early years. Later, that prize increased, and bonus spins were added. The wheel was expertly engineered, designed to build suspense and keep the dollar just out of reach, making each spin unforgettable. Holding it all together was Bob Barker, who started hosting the new version in 1972 and continued until June 15, 2007. Hosting an incredible 6,586 episodes. In the early years, he also juggled hosting duties on Truth or Consequences, but eventually The Price is Right became his main focus. After executive producer Frank Wayne passed away in 1988, Barker took over that role too. He helped design new games and launched The Price is Right $1 million. Spectacular, high-stakes primetime special. Barker also ended every show with a message that became legendary: help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered? Millions of viewers heard it daily. It became part of the show's legacy. When Barker retired, CBS made a bold move by choosing comedian Drew Carey as the new host. His first episode aired in October 2007. At first, fans were unsure. Carey's relaxed style was a big contrast to Barker's calm authority. But over time, Carey won people over. As of today, he's hosted more than 3,269 episodes. He kept the heart of the show the same, but added his own humor and charm. In an interview with People magazine, Carey described the show as a kind of escape, saying, "No matter how my day is, as soon as I get to The Price is Right and walk through the door, it all goes away. It's just vibing all day." Then, on July 22, 2008, something historic happened. A college student playing Plinko dropped her first chip and won $10,000. Her second chip, so $10,000, then a third again. $10,000. 3 perfect Plinko drops in a row had never happened before. The audience was in a frenzy. She had already won $30,000. But as she prepared to drop her 4th chip, something went terribly wrong. The studio was electric. Cheers echoed through the audience as a contestant on The Price is Right approached a rare, unforgettable moment. 3 Plinko chips had already landed in the $10,000 slot. She was about to drop her 4th when something completely unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, a floor director dashed onto the stage, in front of the cameras, the audience, and a stunned Drew Carey. He reached up and swatted the chip right out of the air. It fell before it could even touch the board. Everyone froze. The tension was immediate. The director leaned in and whispered something that would stun even the seasoned host. "The game is fixed." Within seconds, the contestant was quietly escorted off the platform and told to wait near the front of the stage. Drew Carey, without saying a word, left the set. The curtain closed, bright lights dimmed, and silence overtook the room. The audience sat confused for over 15 minutes. The announcer tried to reassure the crowd but admitted he didn't know what was going on. No one could make sense of why one of the most exciting games in the show's history had been stopped so abruptly. But behind the scenes, producers were quickly piecing together a disturbing realization, and the truth was stranger than anyone could have imagined. Just 2 weeks before this taping, The Price is Right had gone on a short production break. During that downtime, the marketing department used the studio to film promotional material for a Price is Right video game. To make the commercial more exciting, they rigged the Plinko board. Invisible fishing lines were attached to guide the chips into the $10,000 slot, ensuring perfect results for the ad. But when the real game resumed, no one thought to remove the lines. Not the crew, not the producers, not Drew Carey. No one noticed that the Plinko board was still rigged for fake gameplay. As the chips landed in the center slot again and again, what looked like a lucky streak quickly raised red flags. It was statistically improbable, nearly impossible. That's when production stopped the taping. Standards and practices from CBS stepped in immediately. After reviewing the situation, they made a crucial decision. The contestant could keep the $30,000 she had unknowingly won from the rigged board. That move likely prevented a public relations nightmare and potential legal disaster. The show's team quickly removed the fishing lines and reshot the Plinko game from the beginning. The same contestant was brought back and given all 5 chips again. This time the board was fair and she walked away with $3,000. When the episode aired on December 5, 2008, none of the drama was shown. Final cut included only the retaped footage edited to look seamless. To viewers at home, everything seemed perfectly normal. Years later, in a 2021 SiriusXM interview, Drew Carey opened up about the day he thought his career was over. "I'm going to jail," he had thought in the moment. "I'm losing my job. There's going to be a scandal." He had just taken over hosting duties in 2007, following the retirement of longtime host Bob Barker, and he feared the show would be canceled under his watch. Game show regulations are extremely strict. The quiz show scandals of the 1950s, when producers fed contestants answers, led to federal laws that made it illegal to rig game shows in any form. Even though this mistake wasn't intentional, Drew and the entire team understood the danger instantly. But the Plinko incident was only the tip of the iceberg when it came to The Price is Right's controversial history. Behind its cheerful music and colorful prizes was a decades-long pattern of scandals that had been carefully shielded from public view. For 35 years, Bob Barker had been the smiling, trusted face of the show. But beginning in the early 1990s, allegations began surfacing from former staff and models that painted a very different picture. The first major case came in 1994 when model Diane Parkinson filed an $8 million lawsuit against Barker. She claimed he had coerced her into a sexual relationship that lasted 3 years, threatening her job if she didn't comply. She said he summoned her to his dressing room between shows and demanded sexual favors. Barker, in his 70s at the time, denied the accusations, claimed Parkinson had pursued him, and even wanted to become the next Mrs. Bob Barker. She eventually dropped the case, citing health issues and legal expenses, but the damage had been done. Her case gave other women the courage to speak out. One of them was Holly Hallstrom, another former model. In 1995, she was fired. The show claimed it was due to weight gain from medication. But Hallstrom believed the real reason was her refusal to publicly support Barker during Parkinson's case. In 1996, Hallstrom filed a lawsuit of her own, accusing Barker and the show of sex and age discrimination, medical discrimination, breach of contract, and emotional abuse. Her legal battle stretched nearly a decade. Barker's legal team continually filed motions to delay and suppress her claims. Hallstrom said she was even offered hush money settlement deals that required her to stay silent. She refused. She accepted a lower payout so she could keep her right to speak. In 2005, she won a multi-million-dollar settlement. After the case, she founded an organization to help people who face workplace abuse but don't have the means to fight back. But Hallstrom's stand came at a price for others. Models Janice Pennington, who had been with the show since 1972, and Kathleen Bradley, the first black permanent model hired in 1990, were both fired after defending her. Production assistants Cheryl Paris and Linda Riegert were also let go for siding with Hallstrom. The message was chillingly clear: defend the wrong person, and you're out. The allegations didn't stop there. A staff member named Sharon Fry also filed a lawsuit, saying she was terminated after enduring harassment and misconduct on set. In 2011, model Lanisha Cole filed a case with 7 separate accusations, including false imprisonment and sexual harassment. Her claims showed that the toxic culture on the show hadn't ended it, had simply adapted. More disturbingly, there were also allegations of racial bias. In court testimony, Hallstrom and others said black contestants were marked with a B on call sheets and were only brought on stage later in the show to avoid having too many black faces on screen at once. She also said Barker would run away from black contestants trying to hug him, playing it off as a joke, but it wasn't funny. It was part of a long-standing pattern. Then, 4 months after Barker's retirement in 2007, Deborah Curling, a longtime contestant screener who had worked on the show for 24 years, filed her own lawsuit. She accused the show of racial discrimination, sexual harassment, and emotional abuse. Her case added another layer to a disturbing history. While millions tuned in for games and giveaways, many staff members were quietly suffering behind the scenes. When Drew Carey became host, his image was a welcome change, funny, approachable, and down-earth. For years, he was celebrated as a breath of fresh air. But in 2025, serious cracks began to show. On March 21st, multiple insiders came forward with claims that Carey had fostered a hostile work environment. He said he often lost his temper, sometimes during tapings, and sometimes in private. 7 crew members were reportedly considering legal action. The tension had been building for months. Production insiders said that Carey's moods began to shift noticeably in late 2024. Some days he was friendly. Other days he was angry or completely withdrawn. In one February 2025 taping, Carey stormed off set mid-shoot, delaying the show for 45 minutes. After that, staff began using silent hand gestures to signal each other about Drew's current mood. By early 2025, 3 veteran crew members had quit. Citing a hostile work environment as the reason, the issues even bled into the show itself. On December 12, 2024, an episode went viral for all the wrong reasons. Contestants made bizarre bids, one guessed $10 and another failed to follow basic instructions. One woman even asked, "Where is it?" After winning a TV, another ignored. The crowd pushed every single block off the pushover stand. Only one contestant won their pricing game. That episode racked up over 2.3 million YouTube views in 2 days. Other awkward moments followed. In one 2025 episode, contestants were asked to guess the price of an iPhone 6. One guessed $7,500. Another said $7.51. The correct answer was $1,969. Drew joked, "I hope the Apple marketing team is watching." Some laughed. Others thought he was ridiculing contestants. Online debate exploded, and the clip reached 300,000 views within 24 hours. Another controversy came in November 2024, when a contestant named Agnes played Line 'Em Up. After her first guess, Carey told her, "You have to change this to a 2. The audience shouted. He repeated, "They want you to make this a 0. She made the change, and won, but some viewers felt Drew had influenced the outcome too much. CBS made no comment, though insiders said repeating the crowd isn't against the rules. Then came a low point on October 23, 2024. When fans criticized the showcase round as one of the worst in years. Finalists Anna and Luis faced uninspired prize packages. Anna's included trips to New Orleans, Iceland, and Ireland, none of the typical flashy vacation spots. Luis was offered diamond jewelry, a sound system, and a Mitsubishi Mirage, deemed the cheapest car in show history. Fans called it a betrayal of the show's legacy, accusing producers of cutting corners ahead of the milestone 10,000th episode.